Chris. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm here at Nanaimo Foodshare. Today in our cooking class, we are going to make salad rolls. These are a great way to pack a whole bunch of veggies and some protein into a fun rice wrap, as well as having the option of dipping many different dipping sauces. So today, the equipment that we need is a couple of large liquid measures, some cutting devices such as peelers, a grater, and some knives. We need a small pot with a lid. We need a 1 cup, a half cup, a tablespoon and a teaspoon measure, a couple of spatulas, a few spoons, and a knife to stir our nut butter. We'll also need a plate that is deep enough. We're going to fill this with water later on. So this is deep enough, but make sure that it's not totally flat. For our ingredients today, you have the option of using any different types of fruits and veggies, but today we're going to use a cucumber, carrot, a mango, red pepper, as well as some quinoa, lime juice. You can use either the sweet chili sauce or chili garlic sauce. We have honey, we have soy sauce, we have rice vinegar, and we also have peanut butter, a little water, and rice wraps. First off, we're going to make a sweet Thai chili sauce. We're going to make this right in our liquid measure. First off, we need a half of a cup of our chili sauce. Ooh. Turn this so you can see it too. We're probably going to use the rest of this bottle. Oh, that looks about right. Let's see, lift it up to our eye level. It's actually a little over, it's fine. We're also going to add 4 tablespoons of lime juice. Fresh lime juice is also delicious, but it's also expensive. So this can be a really helpful way of having that nice tangy citrus for less money. 3 and 4. All right. Did you get those all in there? We are also going to add 4 teaspoons of our rice vinegar. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the last but not least, we need a few teaspoons of water. 1, 2, 3, and 4. This just helps to make it nice and thin. So as we stir this all together, it'll be easier for us to dip our rice wraps in at the end. And this is a nice sweet and tangy sauce. The reason we're making these first is because once we cook our quinoa, or if you would like to cook rice noodles, that's also a great additive. You don't even have to add any noodles. You could just have straight veggies. But quinoa gives us higher protein content, which is extra helpful to make sure we have a whole meal. So this is our sweet Thai chili sauce. Let's put it off to the side for later, and we can start putting together our peanut sauce ingredients. We're going to put them all in this pot because we're going to take them to the stove to thicken our sauce up a little bit later. Let's get started with our peanut butter. This peanut butter is just peanuts ground up. And so if you have a similar peanut butter that has no other additives, you might have separation happening. If that ever happens, just stir it up. I like using a metal knife because it's easy to scrape the sides off and just continue to mix. I can still actually feel a little bit of chunkiness at the bottom of this. Let's see if I can get some up. There, that's a nice big chunk of the thick peanuts paste on the bottom. You can just mix that up and it's just as good as the rest of it. See how easy it is to scrape that knife off? We're gonna add 1/2 cup of our peanut sauce. And I wonder if I can just pour this in. It's looking good. All right, be careful. Don't overspill. Thankful that measuring cup has a flat side. Here's our 1/2 cup of peanut butter. You can use any nut butter if you would like, nut or seed butter. Some people have peanut allergies or other nut and seed allergies, and you can switch it up however you would like. But remember that whatever nut or seed butter you use is going to be the most strong flavor in this sauce. So make sure you choose one that you like. I love the taste of peanut butter, so I'm very happy to keep it as peanuts. Okay, what else do we need? We also need 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. Keep a steady hand and make sure to measure your liquids over top of wherever you're going to pour them. If you pour them over here, you might spill along the way. So that was 1. 2. 3. Ding. We're also going to add 2 tablespoons of honey. Again, I'm going to use my knife. I'll just wash it off so we don't get any peanut butter in our honey jar. But I don't need to wash my measure in between because we've already added that same ingredient. It's actually going to help the honey not stick to the sides. So here we go, adding not just 1, but another one, number 2. Ooh, it's so sticky. Try your very best to keep it all in the container, otherwise you'll have a lot of stickiness to wash up. And it's amazing how far honey can go if you get it on any parts of your hands. You'll find it in very surprising places. So we're also going to add, some chili or garlic chili sauce. You can choose between the 2. I like this one. It's a little bit spicier, but if you don't like spice, stick to the sweet Thai chili. We are going to add a tablespoon, where did it go? There it is, of garlic chili. There we go. And 3 tablespoons of lime juice. 1, 2, 3. I had some extra drops in there. All right. Now we want to bring this over to this our stove so that we can heat it up, and that will allow it to thicken up. What we can do before we heat it up is just stir it so that our peanut butter mixes in with some of those other liquids. You actually don't need to heat this up if you don't want to, but it does help it make it a little creamier and even a bit thicker, which I like. Yum. All right, this is gonna go over to the oven. What am I saying? It's a stove. So when we put it on a hot element, we want to stir it constantly. You could use a whisk if you would like, especially if your nut or seed butter was chunky, for example. But everything else that we have added in here is nice and thin. So you could just use a spoon like I'm using. I only turned it on to a medium heat. So if your stove at home has a dial from 1 until 10, keep it at about a 4 or a 5. And I'm gonna show you this in a little bit, and you can actually see how it starts to thicken up. The reason why we're making this before the rest of our rolls is because if you like your sauce to be room temperature or cold, then it has time to cool down. I actually don't mind dipping into a warm sauce, but it's also nice to have some things prepared beforehand. The only thing that I didn't add was a 1/4 cup of water. So I'm gonna go grab some of that water here. It doesn't need to be an exact 1/4 cup. It's simply to get the consistency that you want. What I'm gonna do is show you the difference between what our sauce looks like and our water. And the reason I'm showing you is because you can tell that it's a bit thicker and chunkier before we added the water. And now it's going to change color with the water, get a lot lighter. And I'm simply going to keep it on the stove and keep stirring. I'm going to add a little bit more water so that it's a little creamier, because you can tell already the color has changed and it's not as chunky as it was before. So let's add a little more water. Look at that, it gets even lighter in color. Isn't that amazing? Let's keep stirring it. When you add water, it's going to get thinner again. And so by keeping it on the stove, we're actually letting some of that water evaporate and it'll get thicker again. So it's a nice thick sauce to dip our salad rolls into. You can see it's still pretty liquidy. We want it to be a bit thicker, although as it cools it will get thicker as well. Mine's starting to bubble around the outside. How about yours? If it's bubbling, it means it's getting hotter in those spaces where it's bubbling. So make sure that you're stirring right where it's bubbling to make sure it doesn't stick and burn on the pan. Ooh, this is looking exactly the way I want it to. It's thickening up and I've got lots of bubbles happening. I can start to smell it. The peanut and lime flavors are fresh in the air. That is exactly what I want it to look like. So, what's easiest? There's the light. So this is a nice thick peanut sauce, ready for dipping. So I'm gonna leave this here on the stove because I'm gonna put that peanut sauce in this bowl. It's gonna cool faster if I take it out of the pot. And that way, I can also use this same pot to make my quinoa. Less dishes. So to get the last of it, I'll use my spatula and try and clean as much of the sides as possible. You can see I got a little bit of cooking on the edges of the pot. That's okay. We'll scrub that off later. Now this can go to the side to cool. And let's put our quinoa all in this pot ready to go. So my half cup measure is full of peanut butter, so I'm gonna eyeball with this one. So, can you see the light difference of the quinoa that's in here? I'm gonna fill it so that it's halfway. Can you see that? And we can put it right in this pot. Woo! Quinoa everywhere. Measuring cup, a dry measure or a liquid measure. The liquid measure is easier to pour, so I'm gonna use this one. Make sure you use cold water. Woo! Let's see. That's a little too much. So let's bring it down to 1 cup. That looks about right. We're gonna put this on the stove with a lid on for 15 minutes. I'm gonna make sure that any of that leftover peanut sauce that I left on the outside gets scraped in, just so that it doesn't cook on and make it harder to clean later. Let's put our lid on and take it to the stove. I'm gonna put this on a medium heat and leave it for 15 minutes. To make sure I don't forget, I'm gonna set a timer. So 15, let's go. And now it's time to start prepping our veggies. These are all the ingredients we're gonna put inside our salad wraps. So you can put any vegetables and fruits inside. I love this combination of cucumbers, carrots, peppers, and mangoes. We're gonna start off with our cucumber. This is actually way too long to fit into a rice wrap. So I'm gonna use a larger knife and cut it into a more manageable size. Remember our cat claws. We're gonna make sure that we keep this nice and steady. So these are much closer to the length of our rice wraps. These are our rice wraps that we're gonna use. So that's gonna fit really nice in there. First off, we're gonna use our rainbow fingers to cut our cucumber in half. So remember the tip of the knife down first and all the way down. Now we have a flat surface to put our cucumber down onto while we slice the rest of it. So bring back our cat claws. We're gonna push the tips of our fingers down, and we're going to put the tip of our knife down while we slice. We are going to keep that our knife in that same direction and move our fingers back further away as we get closer. But we can even have our knife and our fingers touching because our knuckles are guarding our fingertips from being cut by the blade. Just gonna show you what this looks like. So this is a nice thin piece of cucumber, and we can either leave it like this or we can cut it into more of a stick-like shape. So we can do that by stacking our cucumber up as if it wasn't cut. So we have all of these layers of these thin pieces of cucumber here, and being very careful using either our cat claws, or I like to use my rainbow fingers here, and we cut all of them all at the same time. Whew, that was a little bit slimy and sticky. There we go. Now we have these thinner sticks, and they're going to be fun for eating. All right, let's continue chopping up our cucumber. Practicing your cat claws. I know it's hard sometimes, but practice makes better. And cat claws keeps our fingers safe. It's okay if we accidentally cut ourselves in the kitchen, but it's not that fun. So let's try and avoid it when we can. Rainbow fingers, let's cut it into sticks. Let's try that again. These ones are actually pretty small. I'm gonna leave them just like that. All right, I'm gonna leave this for another time and we can deal with that later. Let's cut up some carrot. This is a huge carrot, is it not? Which sides should we use? Let's do this smaller side first. So again, I'm cutting it into a shorter size, similar to the length that my cucumbers are, and a size that'll fit in my rice wrap. And in the exact same way that I cut up my cucumber, we're gonna cut the carrot. So rainbow fingers first, tip of the knife down, and then all the way at the with our heel of our hand. If you have smaller hands, it might make sense to use our serrated knife instead. We can still use our rainbow fingers. Let's do it with this one here. Use our rainbow fingers and our tip of the knife down first, but we want to go a sawing motion back and forth like this. And that might be easier than pushing it down in one full swoop. I didn't quite get through the middle of that. Oops. So whether you are using your serrated knife or a flat edge knife, we're going to use our cat claws or our rainbow fingers and continue to make slices. Make sure that you are keeping your fingers away from the blade and looking at what you're doing the whole time. Just like we did with our cucumbers, we're going to flip them on their side so they're cut in layers. And we're going to use our cat claws or rainbow fingers again and cut them in half so that they're nice thin sticks. Another option to cutting carrots is to use a grater and to grate the rest of them. So let's try that with a few. Move your fingers away as you get close. Remember, this grater is sharp. Maybe turn it around. I'm getting pretty close to the end. If you feel unsafe, like maybe your fingers are too close, you can ask an adult or just put this off to the side and have a snack. So here's some options of carrots, either crispy to chomp into as sticks or a little bit smoother and easier to chew when it's grated. When we're cutting mangoes, we're going to look at the belly button. This is where our mango, when it grows, it attaches to the tree. So we're going to look and see our mango if it has a longer edge. So for example, is it wider going this way or going this way? And we're going to choose the longest section. We're going to use our knife and cut on either side of that belly button. and that's going to help us find that seed in the middle. So I'm going to use my cat claws, keeping this nice and steady, and I'm going to use my serrated knife on one side of my mango, and I am going to cut along, and I might feel the resistance of the seed, which means I'm along the edge of it. So I'm going to keep cutting even if I'm scraping up on the edge of it. That's actually a really good thing. So, for example, you can see that I have skinned the edge of the seed in these two places. This is actually just a little bit of a deterioration of the mango. It still tastes fine, but it's very fibrous, so you might want to cut it out. Let's cut the mango in a different way on this other side, but I'm going to show you something that you can do with this half if you'd like to try. This time we're going to use a paring knife, and I'm going to use my rainbow fingers, and I'm not going to cut all the way to the cutting board. I'm going to be really gentle, but I'm going to make these thin slice marks. Can you see those slices? That's what we want to create. Ideally without, oh, there's a little bit of the seed, I think. Let's just cut that out. It's not going to taste very good. Just fibrous. All right, I'm going to continue slicing all the way to the end. Remember, try not to cut through the skin. And now we're going to flip it inside out. So can you see all those little slices? Now I'm going to take a spoon and I'm just going to scrape the mango flesh away from the skin. And you can do that by holding your hand around your mango and just pushing your spoon close towards your hand and scraping that up. You might also have done this with avocados. It's a very similar technique. So now we have these thin slices, whew, so slimy, of mango, and you might need to take them apart a little bit more with your hands like I am. Whoa, there we go. Thin, slimy mango slices. Woo. All right, here's some compost. Another way for us to cut our mango is in slices with a peeler. So we're going to put our knives away, and you might have either style of peeler. Doesn't matter, both of them work just the same. I'll show you both. If you have a peeler that is dull, it might not work on the first layer, and you might need to use a knife to cut that little bit of skin off first. So cut away from your fingers and push your knife back and forth with cat claws behind. If you do have a sharp enough peeler like this one, you can use your cat claws and just push along like this. Looks to me like I've got all the skin out. So let's use our peeler again and see if we can get some thin slices. They don't have to look perfect because they're going to be wrapped up all together. Whoops, I forgot to separate my skin and my mango flesh. Whoops. It's okay. If we catch ourselves doing something silly, we just have to fix it and go back. All right, there's all my mango skin, and now I have my mango here that I can continue peeling or slicing with our peeler. All right, so there are some lovely little mango slices, and I'm going to show you one other way that we can take this seed out. Oh, and I just found a little bit more skin here, so I'm going to take my knife, cut away from my body and take that little edge that I forgot earlier. Great. So one other way that we are going to take out this seed is to use our mango up on the side and use our rainbow fingers again. Let's use our sawing motion of our knife, and we're going to just cut all the way along so that just like we did at the beginning, we can feel the edge of that seed. Oh hey, it's time for us to check on our quinoa. Let's go look. I've grabbed a utensil, so a spoon right now, and I can stir it, and there's still quite a bit of liquid in here. Now, I can tell that it's cooked when there are no white colors on the inside of the circle of the quinoa. Quinoa has this nice bright white rim, or an outside circle that is part of the seed, but the inside will actually, the white will start to turn translucent, or even in the case of these brown colored quinoas, they will get a lot lighter. And I don't see any little spots on the inside, so that's looking pretty good. I'm going to strain this quinoa. I'm going to put this in a bowl so that it's easier for us to add it to our rice wraps. Great. We can bring that alongside our sauce. All right, back to our mango. So we've both sliced this other side off of the mango. And this is a tricky part to cut, but you can do it in the same way that we were just doing it with our peeler along the sides. What I like to do with this section is just chew on it. It's the best part. I won't eat this right now, but I'm going to save it for later. All right, so the rest of this mango, practice your cutting. I have a little bit of that fibrous bit here. I'm going to put that off into my compost pile. And we can slice this up with our cat claws if we want. Making nice thin slices. If you like doing this better than flipping it inside out like I showed you before, do it whatever way you want to do. Ooh, look at all that mango. All right, last vegetable. Let's get to our pepper. So our belly button and our belly button, we're gonna make a nice flat slice through both of those belly buttons. So I am going to hold my pepper on the side so it's the most stable with my rainbow fingers. And I can use any knife that I would like. This time I'm going to use my serrated knife first and use that sawing motion all the way, half and half. I have to go through that stem, so it might take a little longer. Now that I have half of the pepper, I'm going to put my knife away and use just my fingers. I'm going to pull my fingers in underneath and around the seeds, and I'm going to put my thumb on that green top part. And I'm just going to pull them out, and it comes out so clean. So this is a great way of de-seeding our peppers. If you have any more seeds in there, you can just tap it on your palm, and they should all pop out. I'm going to leave this for another time, and I'm going to slice up this pepper. So normally I would put my cut vegetables on their flat side, but with peppers, because they're hollow, I'm going to cut it into on this side, and I'm going to use my cat claws to hold it down this way. So I'm going to make nice thin slices, just like we were practicing with all of our ingredients so far. And you can see that we have thin sticks already. We don't have to cut them anymore because the pepper is only so thick around the edges. So again, cat claws, but pushing right down through this pepper and making nice thin slices. For this, our peppers are so fragile and easy to cut through that we don't have to do our sawing motion anymore. We can simply put our tip of the knife down and pull towards us with our knife on the cutting board the whole time. So, almost done. As we get closer and closer, be careful with your fingers. Go slower and slower to make sure we don't accidentally cut ourselves. As we get to the end, let's change to rainbow fingers to keep them out of the way. Ooh, I'm going to start with my rainbow fingers right on the end to make sure I get in the right spot. My knife doesn't go in a crazy direction. There we are. What a beautiful rainbow of ingredients. We're going to get ready to prepare our rice papers. We're going to add a little bit of water to our plates. Woo! This tap. So a little bit of water to our plates. It's also handy to have a pitcher to pour in rather than bring our plate over from the sink. I should have done this from the beginning. That's why I brought this over here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our rice paper and we're going to we're going to dip it into our water. It's going to disappear as it goes into our water on our plate. We want to make sure that it disappears underneath and gets covered by water, the entire thing. When we first put it in there, I want you to feel it with your fingers, and you can feel the ridges and bumps. When it's ready, those are going to disappear and it's going to be very smooth to the touch. So we just have to wait a few minutes for that to soak up the water, to absorb it. But what we're going to do is we're going to add all of these different types of ingredients into one piece. While we're waiting, I'm going to encourage you to add a little bit of our sauce to our quinoa. This just helps to make it a little bit more rich and flavorful because these sauces are nice for dipping at the end. Oh yeah, we can help cool this quinoa down a little bit too. If you're using rice noodles, it's also a good idea to put a little bit of the sauce in once you finish cooking your rice noodles because that'll help them from not sticking to each other. All right, let's feel our rice paper. Oh, it's starting to crinkle. Do you see that? So that means it's softening up. I can still feel the ridges a little bit. I'm going to be very gentle and very careful because these are very fragile pieces. When they are dry, they can crack really easily. And when they're wet, they're still fragile, so you can tear them. But that feels pretty good to me. You can still see the pattern, but it's very soft. So you're going to put this on a plate, or in my case, the cutting board. And we're simply going to put a bunch of the ingredients that we want. Actually, maybe I'll go with this. Some mango slices. I know it's hard, but try not to overfill. Let's get that in there. All right. I'm going to dump this so I can show you what it looks like on the plate. There we go. That's so much nicer. with more room. And I can even probably fit a little bit more ingredients in there. I love cucumber. All right, when we roll it up, what we're gonna do is we're going to turn our circle into a little bit of a rectangle first. So take opposite sides of our rice paper and fold them over so that our circle is now more of a rectangle shape. Now we're going to take one side of our rice paper and fold it over the ingredients. But what we're going to do is take our fingers and pull all of those ingredients towards the middle so that they're nice and tight. Then we're going to roll our rice wrap all the way over, and look at that. We have a rice roll, a veggie roll, and this is ready. We're going to keep doing this, and we can keep those with the folded side down, and you can actually keep these rice rolls or salad rolls in the fridge for a few days. They actually stay fairly well if you want to prepare these before your meal that you're going to be eating. So let's make another one. I'm going to get a different plate for us to work with. All right, let's get this full of water again. And let's dip our next rice paper. Watch it disappear. Without spilling the water, try and push that paper down. Oh, look at that, I'm spilling. It's okay, we can clean that up later. Make sure that it's totally covered by water. In fact, I'm gonna add a little bit more to the plate. Ooh, this tap. There we go. So, we haven't even taste tested any of our sauces. If you haven't done that yet, I want you to try it. So even if your peanut sauce is starting to separate like this one, a little of the oil is getting out, it's staying nice and thick, and we can just stir it back up if it's starting to dry a little bit on the top. Revive it. This spoon is very full, but I'm going to take just a little taste. Very peanutty. I can taste that garlic and chili from the sauce that we added, and it's got a good kick. Again, if you don't like spice, try adding the sweet chili. It keeps it nice and mild. Let's try this one, our sweet chili sauce. For this one, it's so thin, I'm going to put it on one of our veggies. Oh, that has a nice sweetness and a crispness of the citrus. I can taste that lime. How about you? Let's check on our rice paper. Ooh, it looks good. All right, let's put it on our plate. Looks like this one has a little bit of a crack in it. I think it's small enough that we can ignore it, but it's something to take note of, that this little hole is something that we want to avoid stretching more than we have to. So let's do it all again. Add a whole bunch of veggies, a little bit of fruit. Why not? Don't forget that quinoa. Remember, you can add any combination of vegetables and fruit and grains to this that you would like. Rice noodles are delicious. Fresh greens like basil or mint are absolutely delicious in here too. Let's put some more veggies in here. Ooh, that's a nice big piece of carrot. I like it. All right, so again, we have our ingredients in the middle in a line, and we are starting with our big circle piece of a rice wrap. We're gonna fold those in so that we make more of a rectangle shape. It's okay if it's not perfect. We're gonna take one side that's closest to us of our rice paper and fold it all the way over and bring, ooh, that one's sticky. And we wanna bring all of our ingredients nice and tight. So we are kind of pinching all of the ingredients together. And then we roll, roll, roll all the way until it's nice and tight. There you go. It's another rice wrap, a salad wrap that you can enjoy for any meal. Once you've made as many rice wraps as you would like, you can store all of these pre-cut veggies and fruit in the fridge if you have leftovers, and same with your quinoa. You can store that in the fridge for a few days. I think 2 is enough rice wraps for me right now, so I'm gonna leave this here and I'm gonna try out some of these rice wraps. I have my plate, I have my roll, I've got some dipping sauce of the sweet chili variety, and I've already licked this spoon, so I'm just gonna use that portion on my plate. There we go. Don't let any bit go to waste. All right, let's see. Start with the sweet chili sauce first. All the textures are so much fun. The little beads of quinoa, the nice crunch of all of the vegetables, and then the sweetness and tartness of the chili sauce. I love that combo. Let's try with the peanut sauce. It's such a different flavor. What a fun combo, going back and forth. It's a party in your mouth every time. I hope you enjoy your meal. I'm so glad you've cooked with me today, and I hope we can do it again. Keep eating healthy, stay safe, and stay together. Great seeing you.